Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand. I am your host, Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal branding and business development company. I want to take you on a journey that takes another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal story, business conversations, and tips to improve your personal brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand podcast series, you will be able to differentiate yourself from the competition and allow you to build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build trust, and reflect who you are. Developing your 5-star personal brand is a great way to demonstrate your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh, spelled M-C-G-A-U-G-H, at 5-star BDM, B for brand, D for development, M for masters.com. Now let's begin with our next 5-star episode on Follow the Brand. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode on Follow the Brand. I'm your host, Grant McGaugh, and we have a very special guest, someone from my hometown of Omaha, Nebraska. His name is Alicia Carter. I've known him since I was, 4 or 5 years old. We still remain very good friends to this day. And I wanted Alan to share his particular story, his particular brand, in his journey as a respiratory therapist since 1985. And he's also maintained that license ever since then, which is wonderful. He now resides out in Southern California, and he's been doing this, again, for over 30 years. I thought I would like him to come on the show and really talk to our early careers and kind of double down on some of the things that were impactful for him as he went through the online questionnaire that I have on the website at www.5starbdm.com, in which he was able to reflect and take some time to truly look at some of the things that his colleagues, even his family members, would take and really define him from a brand perspective. He'll go ahead and tell us a lot about his particular superpower and how he was able to use that throughout his career as he went ahead and helped a lot of the different patients in the hospital setting. So without further ado, let's bring on Alicia Carter. Welcome, everyone. This is Grant McGaugh, your host of Follow the Brand, and I'm here to launch your success in personal branding. I have a guest speaker today who is one of my first, I would say, only best friends in the world besides my brother. And he's going to talk to us today about his experience. He listened to our first show and he said, man, Grant, you did a wonderful job. It got me really thinking around my brand, what I've been doing for the last 30 plus years in the medical field. And I wanted to share a little bit of that story. And I said, you know what, that's a great idea. Take the online questionnaire that I have on my website, kind of walk through that and get a feel for what personal branding is about and what it could be about for you. And I would like you to relate that story to our audience. So without further ado, I'm going to let Alan introduce himself, to let him tell you a little bit about who he is and his journey. And then we're going to dive deep into his personal story.
My name is Alicia Carter. And like Mr. Grant McGaugh mentioned, he and I grew up together in Omaha, Nebraska. We have been and remain best friends. A lot of the journeys that he and I, even though we went on different paths, we stayed parallel towards, our career goals and the things that we wanted to accomplish within our lives. One of the things that I did, I went into the medical profession and I became a registered respiratory therapist after graduating from college in 1985. I have been a registered respiratory therapist ever since maintaining that medical license. One of the other things that I've done throughout my career is I've done home care working. I'm also a sleep technologist, which I have done sleep studies attempting to diagnose individuals with sleep apnea. And then I've also worked in other areas of the medical profession. But it is a pleasure to be on this podcast with Mr. McGall. And let's just go ahead and have a conversation.
Absolutely. Because Alan, you first of all, I'm very proud of you. I remember a very long time ago when you got into the school and wanted to take a course of respiratory therapist. I said, Alan, no way. How are you going to do that? I don't see you as a respiratory therapist. I got this cold. You've been doing this now 30 plus years. Your wife is also in the medical field. So I've been very, very happy with your success. So one of the questions that I wanted to ask is, what's your superpower? What's this thing that makes you better than anyone else in what you do?
Well, I would surmise that one of my superpowers, of course, and I would have to say that I am capable of, when I go in and meet a patient for the first time in a work setting. Of course, they're very apprehensive about what I am going to do with him. And one of the things that I have been able to do is to have them relax and eliminate any anxiety as to the type of therapy that I am going to be working with them on, whether it's doing a sleep study or whether it's doing respiratory therapy care. And oftentimes, I have those same patients who had that anxiety. They thank me after I have concluded my therapy. So that's one of the superpowers that I have, and I think I'm able to make people relaxed. That's another superpower that I believe that I have upon my first impression that I give to them. I'm able to make them feel relaxed and feel comfortable with me.
No, I'm totally agree with you with that. As far as your capability of making others feel comfortable, especially when they're in an anxious situation. And I've gone to the hospital, and I always get some anxiety, around what's going to happen. It's not something I'm familiar with. I don't know the process. I don't know what's going to happen. All the different stories that I've heard that probably didn't go so well about the hospital system, starts to come to mind. So when you have someone with that good face, that good tone that you can relate to, and that you can bond with, even if for a short time, that helps you to relax, and that you can walk them through what they're about to go through, because the process in and out. That's huge. I think that's great. So let me ask you this, because you took the online questionnaire, you saw that particular question come up around, your superpowers and some other things. How did it make you feel as you walked through that in your own mind?
Well, it's a superpower that I believe that not just that I believe, that I know I am very proud of. I'm very proud of the fact that I can make not only patients within a hospital setting, but even people in the grocery store, or people at the church that I go to, or just being within the community. It's something that I make people feel relaxed. I have people come up to me all the time because I'm inviting to them. I'm wanting to communicate and to maybe share some positive feedback or positive feeling. And that's one of the things that I do.
I think you're very experienced in that area. You're very consistent and approachable. I love that. And so I'm going to pivot to another question for you. What advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career like yours?
Very great question. And I have actually had this asked of me throughout my career on several occasions. Number one, the first thing that I advise individuals that are looking to go into not just respiratory therapy or sleep medicine, but any area of medicine is to learn as much as you can about what you're wanting to do. Learn as much as you can, you know, hit the books if you need to, speak to individuals with experience that have already laid a pathway as to where you want to get to. And I show individuals, okay, this is the right way to do something. This is probably not the correct way of doing something. And just being able to share my experience with them when they are wanting to gain more experience and gain more knowledge within the career that they're wanting to pursue.
Interesting. Very interesting. That helps, especially again, if you're new, you haven't been in maybe this is your first stint into the job force. Maybe this is your first stint into the healthcare field, and having that type of knowledge or knowingness of what would take place is key. So I really appreciate that. So I want to ask you also your own beliefs about how you should live your life and conduct your work.
Well, most of all, I have tried to live my life based upon my faith. And I have a very strong faith that guides me as to not only how I conduct myself as an individual, but how I treat others. And I know that people constantly hear the phrase, you know, you should treat others like you want to be treated. Well, you know, that's great. And I think that everyone should have that type of philosophy, you know, but sometimes you got to take it even a step further. Treat others, you know, maybe a little bit more with respect and caring than you would maybe yourself. And that's what I also try to do. And, you know, not that I'm going to put myself, you know, behind someone or make them above me, but just to give them the sense that, hey, I am an individual that I care, you know, whatever I can do, I am willing to do if I'm able to do it. And so that we can, you know, we can both progress in a good, positive direction.
Well, you summed that up very well, you know, and I can tell that you always approach your work by doing the very best that you're able to do and going beyond what's the expectation. And I know from a career management perspective, that's always the path forward. And I want to state also personal branding really, one of the key aspects is career management. It's how you manage your career. And we can always talk about that also from a personal management. How did you manage your own personal life? What do you lead with? What is the character that you are portraying to the world? I think that's very, very important. And so with that said, I like to understand just a little bit more about, you know, 3 qualities that you think your colleagues, people that you work with, would remember about you. What would they say about you that you feel would come forward?
First and foremost, how much I care. Okay. That is one of the things that I've had several of my colleagues in the past say about me in every aspect of the medical profession that I have practiced. And that I am concerned about everybody, you know, and that I'm very knowledgeable. I have people come to me not only for advice, but I'm often asked, how would I do something? What approach would you use to get this particular goal achieved? And I've been asked about, you know, how I would do things on numerous occasions.
Right. So you're a leader, and they would look at you to lead them, especially down that unknown path. Like you stated earlier, you've been doing this for 30 plus years, and you've probably seen a lot of people, kind of move in and move out. And you've been that person that's been very approachable, number one, as we stated earlier, and you're very consistent. So they know they're going to get a straightforward answer from you. And I like that about you because you're very consistent.
Yes.
I think that's wonderful in what we were just talking about here as a brand, because that's the brand that you carry forth. I think that's wonderful. This episode is brought to you by 5-Star BDM. 5-Star BDM is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for small to mid-sized businesses and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement in operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our 5-Star business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. The result is more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Please visit www.5starbdm.com to learn more and view all the episodes of Follow the Brand. So let's talk about how you got influenced. Are there certain people in your life that have influenced you that you took note of that you'd like to share with the audience?
First and foremost, of course, my parents. My father particularly was a man of education, and he instilled within me the drive to learn and to pursue, a positive, impactful career. And, my mother, she's the one who, of course, put me on a spiritual path. Another individual that was very key in my life, and I knew him for quite a few years, and that was my asthma doctor, and his name was Dr. Stanley Davis. And he was actually the very first person who talked to me about respiratory therapy. And yes, and he kind of shared with me that becoming a doctor was going to be very, very treacherous and very, very, a lot of hard work. And not that I was afraid of hard work, but I wanted to specifically know and be able to share with other people suffering from asthma, like your brother. Okay. Yeah. And I wanted to know more about that in that area of medicine. It just seemed obtainable to me. And then I would say thirdly, was my high school English professor. His name was John Keenan. He was the man who he would sit down with me and share with me how to conduct myself, particularly when it came to speeches, when it came to writing essays. And he went over various topics of grammar and doing, and saying and writing how you're supposed to. And so those individuals, they were key in my life.
Oh man, I learned some things. That's wonderful. As you go through your walk of life and you start thinking through the people that were really pivotal. And I think when you get to a certain point in your life, you can look back like, wow, you didn't recognize it at the moment that was going to be that impactful, that was going to be a turnkey, for me, a time of change. Some people call it the wind of change that comes through your life. Yet that is what that pointed you in the right direction. And that pointed you in the right direction not only for your father giving you the ethical foundation, right? And then you were able to talk to your own asthma doctor, and that's an ailment that you suffered from, and then you got direction from him as you sought maybe the medical profession, and then you got information and guidance from somebody already in the profession, and let you know, hey, this might be something that would be of interest to you. And here you are, in respiratory therapy, and then you get your teacher who lays the foundation of true communication.
Yes.
Being able to communicate to people. And I know that you're wonderful at that, because if you pick up your superpower, and that is making people feel comfortable, that they're feeling relaxed, that tells me you're authentic in your brand.
Yes.
Right. And I truly, truly, truly like that, and we do have some more time here. And I want to know a little bit something more, because I've known you a long time. I know there's things I don't know. So tell me something about you, something that others might find interesting.
Well, one of the things that I think allows me to make people feel comfortable and easy with me is I like to tell jokes. I like to be funny, okay? And it's something that I think I've had with me for the longest periods of time. And I know how to maybe take a not so positive of a situation and turn it into something humorous, okay? I don't know if you remember, but when we were in 5th grade and we would read Alfred Hitchcock and the Three Investigators.
I do remember.
Yes. I used to get so frustrated that I would read like 25, 30 pages in one night. And that was an awesome goal for me. And then I come back and try to brag to you. And oh no, man, I'm already on chapter 6. and I would be quietly cursing you. It's like, you ain't supposed to be reading that fast, but being able to make people laugh,
right?
Whether I'm in the hospital setting or whether I'm in a grocery store and I'm interacting with people, I enjoy making people smile and then just in that instant, in that moment of time, you don't think about anything that's bothering you,
right?
When you are laughing about something.
I'm going to 100% agree with you on everything that you've talked about, because healing, I mean, when you laugh, you heal.
Yes.
And if you're hurting in a number of different ways, whether it's mentally, physically, spiritually, or emotionally, being able to laugh, I've heard that attunes all those different elements of yourself in that instance, because you just let go of everything, and you're at a point of peace. And I truly appreciate that. And I've been around you a long time. And we always, if we have a discussion like we're having now, and a conversation like we're having now, and we're not laughing about something at some point in time, we're not really talking. So I really appreciate you sharing that with the audience. And if there's anything before I let you go that you want to elaborate on, this is your moment. I'd like to hear about it.
Yeah. Okay. The great Black poet Maya Angelou, she made a statement that is, someone may not remember what you did. Someone may not remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel.
Yes.
Now, I may not have quoted that verbatim, but that's the gist of that poem, of that statement. And my thing is, I want people to feel that I made them feel good, if just for a moment in time. And that's how I live my life.
Oh man, that was wonderful. Now I'm going to ask you a favor.
Yes.
I need you to state that again, because for some odd reason, at the beginning, when you were talking about Maya Angelou, it got delayed. And I don't want that to come across, because I think that was a wonderful statement. So if you can start from there as to that last thing that you wanted to share with the audience, go ahead and go.
Okay. One of the things that I had held dear to my heart, and the philosophy that I live by, is by a great Black poet by the name of Maya Angelou. And she wrote words basically stating that someone may not remember what you did. They may not remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. And it's a philosophy that I try to live by, because I try my best to make people feel good.
Well said, Mr. Allen. And I'm going to applaud you for being on the 5-Star BDM Follow the Brand show. This has been a wonderful session with you. We encourage our audience to tune in again next week, when we'll also have another interview from a person from the healthcare field that I think you'll find very, very enlightening. So remember to follow the brand at www.5starbdm, that's B for brand, D for development, M for masters.com/follow the brand, or you can always follow us on Instagram or LinkedIn. So we look forward to tuning in with you next week. Until then, follow the brand.
Thank you very much, Mr. McGaw.